All right, I'll go ahead and get started. First of all, my name's Jason Horne. I am the principal of Tennessee Online Public School. I've been the principal since the very beginning in 2012. What we are is a public virtual school originating from Bristol, Tennessee, but we serve the entire state for grades 9 through 12. We've been around since 2012. That was our first year, and have been going strong ever since. Our enrollment has gone from 40 students in the very beginning to around 250 right now. And we enroll twice a year. We enroll for the fall semester and we enroll for the spring semester. We don't do any mid-year enrollments of students except for the spring semester, which I guess would be mid-year. But I mean, we don't do any like in the middle. Our data, as far as like our test scores and that sort of thing, have looked great, especially for the past 4 years. We've been at least a level 3 school since then. Last year we were a level 5. This year we're level 3. We were level 5 for literacy and numeracy. And that's a testament to how hard our students work and how hard our teachers work. Right now I have 3 full-time faculty members and 22 adjuncts who teach our students, and I've had 0 turnover in my faculty for 3 years now. So it's been the same people for the same for 3 years, and nobody's leaving, and you know, I'm really not hiring any new positions unless we grow a little bit more. We do have a lot. I have noticed in this group that a lot of people are in Tennessee Virtual Academy. Many of our students come from Tennessee Virtual Academy. I would say, and I should have run the numbers on this, but I think around 60% of our freshman class was enrolled in TNVA last year. I know that they usually refer students to us, particularly for students who are outside of Davidson and Shelby County, because they have their own virtual schools. Bradley County has their own virtual high school. But outside of that, Wilson has a virtual high school, but we're the only ones that serve all of the places in between. And so students who want to continue to get a virtual education then come to us. But there are a ton of differences between the way school is done at TNVA and the way school is done at TOPS. And I'm going to be totally frank and tell you that I don't know exactly how school is done at TNVA because I've never had a student there, and I've just picked up on it from what I've heard. One big difference is we don't do any live classes. In other words, there's no classroom connects for us. Everything we do is asynchronous, and the reason for that is the majority of our students come to us because they need a flexible schedule. That's why they're want to do virtual school. Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 2:30 just doesn't work for them for whatever reason. So we don't do any live classes. Instead, the way we do things, we do everything asynchronously with videos, reading, that sort of thing. And then our teachers then have office hours throughout the week where they can help students either in small groups or one-on-one. We're a Google Apps school, so students have access to a Gmail, essentially, with an unlimited drive space, and then Google Hangouts and that sort of thing, where they can chat with their teachers either through video chat or just through text-based chat, whatever they want to do. Our philosophy, though, is to meet students where they are. So if a student would rather use Skype or FaceTime or something like that, then we would use that if that's what they prefer. We are very agnostic about technology. We do provide the Google Apps account, so students don't have to purchase things like a Microsoft Office suite or whatever to do their work. Our learning management system is Canvas, and that is software created by a company called Instructure. It's what University of Tennessee now uses. Several universities around the country use it for their LMS. I imagine a bunch of Tennessee Board of Regents community colleges will be adopting it soon now that their contract with D2L is over. But all of our curriculum is designed by us, by the teachers who teach it, and we don't purchase anything. For example, in TNVA, K-12 is the backbone behind all of that. And I know there's like, you do K-12 stuff, and then there's some study island stuff, and then there's some articulation with Tennessee standards and that sort of thing. Well, with us, we design everything. So there's only one place to go. You log into Canvas, that's where your courses are. You have a module for each week. And so students will log in and have a set amount of work to do in each class every week, and it's due by midnight on Friday. They can access it as early as Saturday. And so once they're done with their work for that week, then they have perfect attendance. And then their stuff gets graded within a week, and they see how they're doing. And that's basically our model. Our model is very much driven by students doing work and teachers giving feedback. And that's how we know how students are doing. That's how students know how they're doing. And the feedback is just another learning opportunity to see what they can do better. And really just using our data as an example, and looking at the growth that our students have had, what we're doing is really working for students. Our ACT average was 21.5, which is about almost a point and a half higher than the state ACT average. And we're doing this with all kinds of different students. We don't just enroll honor students types. It's we look at things, but and we do have a selective enrollment. We don't just enroll anybody that applies, for the reason that we want to make sure that students are applying to virtual schools for the right reasons, and that's to get a good education with a flexible schedule. And then we collect a lot of data. When I look at our exit surveys, usually the reason people leave our school is because they want something that is more fast-paced. Like, we don't do any sort of accelerated classes. For example, I've had several students tell me, well, I can get my diploma with this private virtual school in like 5 months. It's going to take me 3 or 4 years with you. And some people are looking for that option in life. I don't recommend it because usually an institution that can give a high school student a diploma in 5 months is usually not. Colleges kind of think that that's sort of dubious. But I'm not here to trash somebody else. I'm just telling you, like, for us. So it takes 3.5 to 4 years to get a diploma through us. We do have a lot of early graduates. The credits that we requirement for us is 24 credits, and we it's really the state minimum plus a couple of other things. Since we don't offer like ROTC and band and that sort of thing, then we could. Most schools will have a 28 minimum credit, but we do 24 because we really, there are a lot of things that we can't offer. The things we can't offer that a lot of people can't, for example, in CTE that's what they call vocational school. We have a lot of programming options. We have 3 different paths in CTE where students can get to do programming. They can do networking. They can do web design. They can even earn a certificate in networking. I just have a question here. Do we offer foreign language? Yes, we offer French, German, and Spanish right now. I'd like to get Latin in there at some point, but right now we offer French, German, and Spanish, which for a school our size is a lot of different foreign language options. Students typically take that their junior year of high school. Our schedule is a 4x4 block, which is common. Really, east of Cookeville, Tennessee is common, and west of Cookeville, Tennessee is pretty uncommon. That means students take 4 classes per semester. For those of you who went to college, that's what pretty much every college is on. You take 12 or 15 hours every semester. We do block scheduling. Like I said, most schools east of Cookeville, Tennessee do block scheduling. And so you'll have 4 classes in the fall, then 4 different classes in the spring, earning 8 credits over the entire year. So that's the schedule we're on. So that is a lot about us. Now, you can learn a lot about us by going to our website. Our website, as you can see behind me, is tops.education. And if you just type in tops.education or http://tops.education, and you go to enter the website, if you go, our front page, tells you a little about us. We were a reward school for performance last year, which means we were in the top 5% of schools in the state for academic achievement last year, which again, all the credit goes to the students and teachers who worked so hard. We're the only virtual school to ever receive that distinction. And, we were one of maybe, fewer than, I think, 50, maybe one of 56 schools in the entire state to earn that distinction. And so that's a big deal for us to have that. But you can learn a lot about us by going there to our website. If you click on About, you can go to sample courses and look at what our courses look like. And just from reading a lot of your posts on here, I think that you will like the simplicity of our system because everything's in one place. You don't have to go here for this and there for that and open this and have this software. Also, we have no expectations of parents to keep track of anything. We do all of that. Now, we'll let you know if there's a problem, but as high school people, we look at our students as being on the cusp of adulthood, and we want to deal with them. We'll deal with you too to keep you informed, but first and foremost, we want to deal with students and make sure that we are preparing them to be successful adults. So you don't have to do things like put in attendance or, we don't expect you even to help your kids with school. I mean, that's great, and we love that, but we don't expect it because high school teachers have to have a degree in the subject that they teach. So we can't expect parents to have a degree in algebra and biology and all of these English and all of these other unrelated things, because just because you went through high school doesn't mean that you memorized everything from your freshman year of algebra. And speaking of someone who, was in my freshman year of algebra almost 3 decades ago, I don't remember that much about it unless I go into one of our courses and kind of refresh my memory, and then it's still hazy. So we don't put a lot of expectations on parents. We love for parents to be involved, but we do try to deal with students more than parents because, again, they're going to be out here in the world, going to college or going to work or going to the military or whatever, and mama's not going to be there, daddy's not going to be there. So we have to have them ready, and we've got 4 years to do it. So there are fewer expectations of parents if you enroll your student in TOPS. The way we keep track of attendance, Jessica, is students have a set amount of work due every week. For example, let's say in English, just to make it simple, they're enrolled in 4 classes, and all 4 classes they have 5 assignments, for example. There are 5 days in the week. So let's say in English class they do 4 out of 5 of those assignments. Well, they missed 1 day. Let's say in biology they did all 5. Well, they have perfect attendance in biology. Let's say in wellness they did 3 out of 5. Well, they missed 2 days. So we keep track of attendance. Our expectation is that every single student should have perfect attendance every week. That's just our expectation. Because our courses are, depending on what it is, they're around 5 to 8 hours worth of work every week. And our expectation is that if students put in a 6.5-hour day, like they would in a brick and mortar school, that they have plenty of time to finish all of their work. Because you factor in, homework time in high school and all of that, brick and mortar students are probably spending somewhere between 8 to 10 hours on school every single day. So because we're in a flexible learning environment, we don't have pep rallies, we don't have lunch, we don't have time between classes, we don't have, pep rallies and all this other stuff, then we are able to probably shave some of the time off of that. So we're looking at between, if you spend 5 to 7 hours a day, you're probably going to get done early on Friday and have all of your work done. Catherine, there are no live classes. Our teachers do have office hours where they can meet students one-on-one, and students can schedule those and get one-on-one help. But because one of our selling points is our flexibility, we do not offer live classes. And most of my staff is part-time, so they're working during the day anyway, so that would be really hard to manage. Do we offer dual enrollment for our students? Yes, we do. We offer, students can go to any higher education institution in the state of Tennessee and take a class for dual enrollment their junior and senior year. We do not put a cap on the number of classes a student can do with dual enrollment. And I would say about 40% of our juniors and seniors do dual enrollment. And we've had students graduate with 29 college credits while they were at TOPS because they took an astronomical number of dual enrollment courses and took summer courses and all of that. And we do encourage that. Jennifer, this is Tennessee Online Public School, and we offer grades 9 through 12. So I do want to turn it over to question and answer time, just so I can answer your questions and get those on video. I don't have much more of a spiel to give, but Jessica, if you think of something that I didn't mention, please let me know, or anybody else there in the audience. All right, what standardized tests do the students have to take? Well, as you know, if you're enrolled in a public school for 8th grade, you have to take TCAPs in math, English, social studies, and science. In high school, in certain courses you have to take EOCs for. You have to take them for English 1, English 2, English 3. And EOC is what we call TCAPs in high school. It means end of course test. That's also called Tennessee Ready. So for the following courses: English 1, 2, and 3, Math 1B, Math 2B, Math 3B, which is like Algebra 1, Part B, Geometry, Part B, and then Algebra 2, Part B, because we do our maths, so we do Part A in the fall and Part B in the spring. Biology and Chemistry, and then U.S. History. So the first 3 Englishes, Biology and Chemistry for science, the Part B of the first 3 maths, and then U.S. History for the social studies. Those are what have a state test. Jennifer, if a child has an IEP or special needs, it really just depends. We have quite a few students who have IEPs. We have quite a few students who have 504s. What we do is during our enrollment process, we have our special education teacher screen those to make sure that we feel like our environment is the least restrictive environment for that student. It really just comes down to, if students need resource classes and a lot of one-on-one help and that sort of thing, we feel like your local school is the best environment for that. And we can't predetermine these things, but we try to just talk to parents and have the conversation about, okay, what's really going to be the best environment for this kid. One thing that we found out, just through experience, is sometimes parents will try to enroll their kids in virtual school because it's more convenient for the parents rather than, it's the best academic fit for the child. And so we just really try to work through that with parents and make sure that this is an academic decision for the child. But like I said, we do have quite a few students on IEPs 504s and that sort of thing. And we certainly do not preclude those students from attending our school. But, when we are reevaluating the IEP or doing the initial IEP, one of the mandates from, law is that we determine the least restrictive environment for the student, and, the majority of that IEP team has to agree that our school is going to be that. And so if we see in the tea leaves that that's probably not what the decision would be, we try to have that conversation with parents just to make sure that they're making the best academic decision for their child. Jared Ruiz asked, how strict is the attendance policy? Well, for freshmen, I don't like when I enroll freshmen, I look at their 8th grade year. I do look at their attendance. Attendance tells me a lot of different things about how students behave in an online environment, but it's not the only thing that tells me that. I am aware that, just from reading posts in here, that people from TNVA have had some attendance questions and aren't sure why students are being counted absent and everything. I'll be honest with you, if I see a student that has missed a lot of days in an online school and they want to enroll in mine, then that sends up a red flag. But that's not the end of the conversation. That's the start of the conversation. I want to find out why. Why did you miss a lot of days? Was it because of procrastination, or was it because of software issues, or was it because of something else? Students that come from brick and mortar schools that missed a lot of days because of health concerns, well, that's probably going to make me feel like I'm a better learning environment for that child rather than a worse learning environment. So we try to not make decisions just based solely on data. I don't want to pick and choose my students from a spreadsheet. I want to talk to the living, breathing human beings, because everybody has a story, and there's phenomenological psychopathology for everything, and so you really just have to kind of figure it out. We take our enrollment very seriously. We don't have a huge school. We usually enroll about 100 new students every year, which is a manageable number for us to really dig in and figure out what every family's story is, because we want to know you. We don't feel like learning can happen unless we know the students, their history, their story, what their and having students come from, like, if I enrolled 127 students this year for the fall semester. Well, those students came from 112 different institutions. So, I don't know what every middle school's like. I don't know, TNVA, I've kind of got my head wrapped around because we've had so many students come from them. But other middle schools, I don't know. And they're all different qualities and that sort of thing. And students are going to have different kinds of learning gaps and all of that. So we try to figure that out pretty quickly. So I hope that answers your question, Jared. It's going to send up a red flag if there are attendance issues, but that's not the end of the conversation. Catherine asked if students have to go somewhere to take their state test, and yes, they do. We have 4 testing facilities right now, hoping to add a 5th one in Chattanooga. But right now we have testing facilities in Bristol, in Knoxville, in Murfreesboro, and then in Memphis or Bartlett. Sometimes we use the one that's in Memphis, and it's in right near University of Memphis, and sometimes we use the one in Bartlett, which, if you're familiar with West Tennessee, is right outside of Memphis. And yes, they have to appear in person to take those, and those are given now for high school on computers, and we provide the computers for that test. One thing people ask me a lot, do we charge tuition? We do not. We're a public school and we're free, but we do charge a $125 enrollment fee when you fill out your application. The reason we do that is because it pays for our application software, and also it gives people an investment in applying to our school, where before we started charging that fee, we would have people apply to our school, and then school would start, they wouldn't log in, I call them, oh, well, we went to this school instead. So I kind of like to be sure that people applying to our school, and we're approving them and doing all the work to onboard them, that they don't just change their school like they change their t-shirt. You do have to provide a computer and internet for our school. We do not provide any of that. It's just an expectation that you will have a computer, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a base model, and then high-speed internet. Mr. Ruiz asked me if there's any options for students to advance through grade levels at a rapid pace, and the answer is no. Our courses are rigorous enough that it does take the full 18 weeks of school to do all the work in those. There's really no way that we can accelerate it without having students working 60 hours a week in school, and we don't feel like that they need to be doing that. They need to have a life and learn at a proper pace. It just sounds like misery if we offered a way for kids to do more than what they already do. As a matter of fact, a lot of people end up leaving our school because they find the workload overwhelming. And it's not anything inappropriate. It's just we follow Tennessee state standards. We teach all of the state standards thoroughly, and because we don't have any excuse to, we don't cut anything out of our curriculum. Are there any other questions? Jessica asked, do the programs of study help students choose a career path? Yes, and I'm glad you asked that. We use, not only do we have programs of study, that they can do, there are 3 in CTE, which I mentioned earlier, which are programming, networking, and web design. But there's also a science and math, a humanities, and a art, and a literature path that they can follow. And so those do help, but we also have 2 different things that we use for students to kind of help them identify that. We have a program called Tradeify that we have purchased into, that's through Monster. If you know what Monster is, they're like an online job service. And Tradeify helps people identify career paths through a very kid-friendly personality survey. Then we have tnforcollege.com, which is through the State Department, and that is links not only career interests, but also ACT scores and GPAs and all of that, and they can find out which colleges they might be interested in going to. And so we have multiple resources for that, as well as a counselor who works with each student on identifying what a career path might be and exploring that. Catherine asked, when is enrollment for next year? Well, it's not a joke, but on April 1st, that's when we always open up our enrollment for fall. And we always, we're going to run our enrollment from April the 1st until July 1st, and not a day after. So if we have a limited number of spaces. I don't do a mass enrollment where I take in as many students as I can. We basically take the first 100 or so and then stop because we want to be able to sustain what we have and to be able to do it well. So my advice to you is to apply on April 1st or by April 7th. It's not hard. We have an online application you fill out. We do have a fee waiver. If you feel like you meet certain financial certain financial levels, then we do have a fee waiver for our $125 application fee. And again, I don't ever want that fee to be prohibitive to someone enrolling in our school. I don't think that's right. I feel like our school is for anybody who wants to come in and get a good education. And so you'll see on our website when you do the enrollment in April that we'll have a place to fill out a fee waiver request, and we get those requests daily and check them against federal poverty guidelines, and if you meet those, then we waive your fee. What are some criteria for acceptance into the school? Well, for freshmen, it's pretty much, I don't want to say we take all freshmen, but we kind of do. The only time that I'm not going to take a freshman is if they were in a virtual school previously and just did terribly. Then I'm probably not going to think that sticking in virtual school is the best academic decision for the kid. If they were in a virtual school and had academic integrity violations, cheating, plagiarism, that sort of thing, then it's going to be hard for me to trust that student's work. If they were in a virtual school before and had attendance issues, like I told Mr. Ruiz, that's going to be a conversation I want to have. I want to know why. So really for freshmen, if you just have a normal 8th grade year, then we're gonna give you a shot. So that's for freshmen. Now for students past the freshman year, you can't be too far behind on credits because, as I said earlier, we don't have any accelerated options. So if you're a junior and you failed half your classes freshman year and sophomore year, then you're really going to be too far behind in our school to graduate on time. So the best thing to do in that situation is try to do credit recovery in the high school that you're already in. I do look at GPA and that sort of thing. I do feel like for upperclassmen, if you have lower than a 2.5, then it's suggestive that you're not going to be able to handle the independence of online learning, even though you do have a teacher who's designed the course, who answers your questions over email, who meets you one-on-one. Grades say a lot about somebody's responsibility. And so for me, if a student is not able, they rarely say anything about your intelligence. And there's not a student in the state of Tennessee who isn't intelligent enough to come to our school and do the work and be successful. But are they responsible enough? And that, we don't monitor what you do at home all day. And most people have parents who work, so students are sitting there at 14 years old at the kitchen table or at an office, and they're expected to sit there and work on their work for 6.5 to 8 hours a day. Or really for us to get all of their work in by Friday. So we're putting a lot of responsibility on these students at a young age, and your grades have to suggest to me that you're capable of handling that responsibility. Again, it's not the end of like if you have a 2.43, it's not the end of a conversation, but it's the beginning of one, because I want to know why. Why do you have a 2.43? Why did you have D's in all of your classes last year? It could be something outside of the student's control, and it could be, well, I had leukemia last year and had to go to a lot of doctor's appointments and things, and I was just worked really hard to get that D. Well, that's one thing. If it's a 14-year-old who has absolutely nothing to do in life other than school and they're making D's, that suggests that they're probably maybe a little too irresponsible to handle it. Jessica asks, do we offer prom, service opportunities, ways for students to interact with each other? Yes, we do. We do offer a prom every year, and that's really just depends on the students. And if they want to have a prom, then we have a prom. We've had a prom 3 out of the 5 years that we've been in school. We didn't have one last year. Hopefully we'll have one this year. We do have a graduation ceremony here in Bristol. And students are required to do 25 hours of service learning every single year. And we do want students out in their local community interacting with people, not just, dwelling in the basement doing online work. There are opportunities for students to interact with each other, but we let that be parent driven. And so small groups of people will meet up with one another. We organize that so people can talk to each other. Usually people meet each other in discussions in our classes online. We have a kind of a place online for people to meet up and that sort of thing. So that's the thing. But we have students all over the state. And one of the challenges we have for students interacting with one another is that, of our students, Right now we have 232 students enrolled, and those 232 students are in 197 different zip codes. So that's 197 unique postal codes for our school. So not everybody's in the same town. Some people might be the next town over. 65% of our students are in Middle Tennessee. I would say in outside of Davidson County in the Nashville metro area. 65% of our students come from there. So we're scattered out pretty well. 20% come from the Northeast Tennessee. I think 35 come from Knoxville area, East Tennessee, and then West Tennessee has about 10%. Catherine asked me, do assignments include a test for understanding? Yes, and we do that in different ways. One thing we do not do a lot of is multiple choice testing because we do not believe in it. We feel like that's the easiest way for kids to just Google an answer on something. It's not a very smart way. So we do that as a formative assessment for students to check to see if they got it, but we don't do a lot of summative, like grade-bearing assessments that use multiple choice. We like to see writing, we like to see work in math, we like to see proofs in math, and so we do a lot of things to really truly assess whether students understand or not. Well, Jessica, I'm very happy to be here, and I look forward to any of you enrolling with us. Again, our website is tops.education, and you can go there. You can email me anytime. I will put my contact number or my information in the chat box. My email is hornej@btcs.org. Our office phone number is 423-652-9209. You can give us a call at any time. Again, our website is tops.education. And, you know, look us up. Do your research. Like, making a decision on high school is a big deal because it really starts that process on higher education and careers and all of that. So do your homework. Look us up. See what you think. I think you'll be very happy to see what our data looks like compared to other virtual options in the state. You know, we are a high-performing high school with high expectations of our students, and we don't want to be anything else. I mean, that's why we exist. Why